Hey guys, good evening. It is Rachel and Jen, and we are going to talk about social media tips and tricks tonight. So, the first thing we're going to talk about is stock photos. So, when you are posting on Facebook, Instagram, we want you to not use stock photos. So what does that mean? It means that we don't want you to post a picture of 21 Day Fix program with the containers and the DVDs. Yeah, we don't want any of that. So don't post that. Don't post a size picture. That's kind of my jazz. I do that a lot. So we're at the end of this, I'm going to post in the comments some pictures of some posts that Rachel and I have done in the past that were like a no-no. So that's one. So don't share. And we know why we do it. It's basically, we view that as like an advertisement, right? We're saying, let's come join our challenge group because we're going to be doing this program. But Rachel and I have found that the best way to get people engaged in wanting to be a part of our challenge groups is our transformation posts. So we want to encourage you to do those as opposed to stock photos or, photos of Sean T or Tony Horton or Autumn. I know, where did that come from? I just named a new workout person. So I think that's my thoughts on it. What's your thoughts, Rachel?
Yeah, no, I totally agree. So the reason I hate stock photos, and because one of the reasons Jennifer and I wanted to do this training is because we had been analyzing some of the things that work best for our businesses and some of the things that have not worked for our businesses. And it was very eye-opening for us to go back to our original posts and see, for me, stock photos weren't as big of a deal, but the next topic is. And so for me, stock photos are just so impersonal. I feel like one of the things that I hear so much people when they become Beachbody coaches is they're like, I don't want to be salesy. Well, the number one thing you are when you do stock photos is salesy. And so it just takes the personal touch out of your social media presence. So it's not that stock photos are bad. It's not any of that. It's just, it's not going to further your business because people can't relate to a stock photo. That's my thoughts on that. The next thing was what I like to label #happy. And I am the biggest culprit of this. And I didn't realize it. I didn't realize it until we were actually looking back at some of the things. And when I say #happy, I mean a couple of things. One, using every other word as a hashtag for starters. For two, using Beachbody or the program label or whatever that is that's specifically related. So like using #21dayfish, #Beachbody coach, #Beachbody, #Team Beachbody, all that stuff. I was really bad about that when I first started. I didn't really know better. And I was reading back those posts, I was realizing they sounded like super, oh, here, this program, let me vomit in your face. And that's not what we want. So kind of a rule of thumb for hashtags is do no more than 5. I have seen top coaches who do a whole lot more than that, but they're pretty Instagram focused. And if you don't know, Facebook actually doesn't have a hashtag option. Like you can hashtag something, but it's not going to link to anything. So if you do a hashtag on Facebook, it doesn't serve quite the purpose that it does in Instagram. But when you do a hashtag in Instagram, you're literally able to go to that hashtag in the search bar and look for all the people in the world who have hashtag goals or hashtag Beachbody or whatever that is. So they're much more efficient that way. I'm going to touch a little bit on Instagram. Jenna and I both are focused on Facebook right now. It just seems to be the easiest way to get in touch with people for our markets in this moment. Instagram is a little bit harder to tap into. And I have a training that I did and one that Nate has done, which I would highly recommend you guys looking into if you are wanting to learn more about Instagram. But by being very intentional about my hashtags with Instagram, I've grown my following by like 200 people in the last like 3 months. And that's just hashtags alone. That's I'm getting about 3 to 4 new followers each day just based off how I intentionally hashtag. So I've stopped using like Beachbody and 21 Day Fix, and I will throw those in there every now and then, because I do think it's important if somebody looks at your page, they can kind of identify little snippets of what you're associated with, but it shouldn't be like they look at your profile and they're like, oh, boom, she's a Beachbody coach. It's like, oh, she has a cute 18-month-old, and oh, she's married, and oh, she likes food, and all these different things. So that would be my one tip when it comes to Instagram and hashtagging. Do things like, I wouldn't go crazy with these, but Fit Mom, or Jen does a good one, Mom on a Journey to Be Fit. That's a good one. Do hashtag, just things that are interesting that you would go and search after, something you can relate to. So if you have a rescue dog, do hashtag rescue dog, things like that. So that's all I'm going to say about that. I'm happy to do a more intense training at some point, but Nate has a really good training on Instagram. But when it comes to hashtagging, don't over hashtag Beachbody or anything related to Beachbody, just because it can just come across a little strong. We want to be more personal than that. The other thing would be, we want to start hashtagging our team name. So if you're on Instagram, we want to start tagging all of our posts to hashtag Fit Life Warriors, because we want people to know that we're all associated with each other. So if they go to that hashtag on Instagram, they can say, oh, look, there's one girl, that's Jen. Oh, look, there's Rachel. Oh, look, there's Carrie, and so they can start associating us together, and see what our team is all about. So that was one thing I wanted to add. So anything else you want to add to hashtag happy? I know that's mine.
I was going to say, when you're building, and this can be something Rachel would go into at a later time, but when you're working in Instagram, one thing, when you're sharing your life, you need to think about the hashtags or the people you want to bring in, your audience. So this is where it comes into like marketing and kind of finding your following. And for Rachel, that's going to be moms, and because that's where she is in her life right now. And me too. That's why, a lot of it's going to be Fit Mom, or, you can look at Rachel in our Instagram and see what we're hashtagging. And I claimed that Mom on a Journey to Be Fit. If you click on it, they're all my pictures. There's nobody else tagging that. And if Rachel's doing her Restoring Rachel, then she's probably not going to find anybody else that's hashtagging that. Some for me are like, I'll do ADHD posts. I'll do like cleaning posts or lack of cleaning, disorganization, anxiety, depression. Some of those things are going to draw people from outside of that mom world, which I'm currently in, trying to figure out where my market is. So that's what I was going to say about hashtags. But, and when you are doing Instagram, don't only post about your workouts. It's the same way about Facebook. You have to share your life. You have to share what's going on. So you don't want to just share a sweaty selfie. You want to share, like Ricky's building a house. So sharing Ricky's building a house, or Carrie's, out visiting a different country and ministering. And so she's going to share about those things. And those are just off the top of my head, guys. So, you want to share your story, because those are going to bring people in and going to follow you. Right now, the big one for me, I've got a ton of people doing the LuLaRoe stuff lately, liking my things, because I'll tag that. And it kind of is annoying, but at the same time, I'm getting those people to watch me because they'll send me a friend request or whatever. And
if you wear leggings all the time, then you're going to get a little fluffy.
That's right.
So you need a Beachbody coach.
That's right. So just kind of finding that market, and so anyway, that's kind of what I was going to say about that.
Well, and I think going straight in from that into the next one is sprinkling Beachbody with your life. Like, one of the things that I think Jen and I we've both been intentional about shifting in the last couple months is making sure that we're following the 80-20 rule, 80% personal and 20% Beachbody, because people want to feel invested in you and your life and feel like they should be able to look at your page and feel like they know what's going on with you. Like, people can look at my page right now and know that my family is going through a hard season and there's a lot of stress and financially we're not in a great place. And they can kind of get a feel for who I am based off what I'm posting because I'm following that 80-20 rule. I think one thing when I looked back at my pictures when I first started, I realized I was like the opposite. I was 80% business and 20% personal. And that's a turnoff for me if I'm following somebody else. So I want to know who they are and like really be friends with them. So that would be my tidbit about that.
Yeah, I think that kind of goes into one of the other things we were talking about is posting 3 times, at minimum 3 times, 2 to 3 times a day on Facebook. And that's the same thing. That 80-20 rule works for that. Or 70-30 if it's just 3 times a day. But, one post is that sweaty selfie, or your workout video. I mean, Rachel's great about doing her workout videos every day. That's proof that she's actually working out, not just the sweaty selfie.
You didn't just pour a glass of water on you say, sweaty selfie.
I know, right? So there's that one. Then, this is where you start to build your market. So for me, I'm going to post about, it can be something mom related. It can go back to that ADHD, and it's usually a humor related thing for that. It can be my kids driving me crazy. So you're finding out about my life. It's basically what just Rachel said. It can be posts about my faith, whether that's scripture or just something I'm reading or, whatever it is. But that's kind of doing that. And the best thing you can do to post 3 times a day is literally do once in the morning, once in the afternoon, and once in the evening. And you have to be diligent about that. Now, there's ways to go about it. You can subscribe to a website called SyncShare. It is one of the things that Rachel and I do to post our posts within our challenge groups. So you can set it up to do your daily posts. If you don't have time to do them every day, I've done a few over the time, but I do like to do it spur of the moment because things come to me. But if you don't have the time or don't have the schedule, to just post randomly, you could do it that way.
And one thing I would add to that is that I tend to try to create content all day long. So I have like an archive to pull from because I'm not just going to sit there and think, okay, what am I going to post today? I'm hoping that I have like an archive, like I have like an archive of pictures of Aiden. I have an archive of videos of Aiden. I have an archive of funny humor things that I've screenshotted and can use. So it's constantly as you're surfing, because we know we all surf at social media. So as you're going through social media, you're looking at it and saying, okay, ooh, I like that. I'll post that in a couple weeks. So that's a tip for you to make sure that you're just constantly adding stuff into your phone so that at the spur of the moment, you're like, oh man, I haven't got anything out today. It's just a quick blurb and you're done. So I do recommend SyncShare also. I also will say I have noticed that I did a transformation post using SyncShare and it did not do well. Like, I don't know if Facebook kept it out of people's feed because I used it, or I posted it at a really bad time of day. I don't know. I haven't used it since for my personal page, but it is definitely a tool that you can use. If you have a like page, which I'm starting to get my feet wet in, please don't feel pressure to try and go get that because that's like a whole nother level of social media. But you can schedule your posts within your like page without having to have the SyncShare app. So that's an option too. So the other thing I would say is make sure your posts add value. That's one thing that when somebody looks at your page, give them a reason to follow you. Give them a story of your journey. So one thing that I think I'm benefiting a lot from right now is being really descriptive in my posts. So telling a story with everything that I post. And that doesn't have to be 6 paragraphs long because let's get real, nobody's going to read it. But a short blurb on how my day is going, what's going on in my head. If you look at my workout videos, I do something called Fun Facts. And that's just because I was trying to find a way to not just post a workout video and be like, oh, here's my workout today. Legs really suck. I hate lunges. Let's be more original than that because people want to look at that video and say, oh, that's interesting. I wonder what she was doing and read through it. And they're like, oh, she had a really bad day, but she still worked out. I can relate to that. Maybe I should go work out. And so it's that kind of reasoning behind it. Sharing things like recipes and
on the couch.
Really just like recipes and things that add value, so that if somebody goes to your page, they're like, oh, she shares a lot of recipes, I want to follow her. Or they would go to Jen's page and be like, her posts are hilarious with all the fitness humor and the parenting humor. I want to follow that because I like things that make me laugh. So that kind of thing is what I would say. Make sure your posts add value.
Yep. And one thing Rachel and I talked about before we, decided to, this was all planned out. So one thing we did talk about is you can't overshare. I think a lot of times, and even I have been afraid of that vomiting, of doing too much sharing. But, Rachel said it in a great way the day that we were talking about it, is that you just can't overshare. You're going to be telling a story, and, they're going to be watching your journey.
Well, and I think too is those people that don't want to see you, they'll just hide you from their news feed. But guess what? In 4 months, when they've gained 20 pounds because they ate a whole lot over the summer, you're going to be in the back of their head, because they're like, oh, I need to contact Jen Yancey because she was doing that Beachbody thing. And you know what? I need to go get fit now. Even though they hide your stuff, you're still their friend. So it may not benefit you right now, but being consistent, I think that's something that you're going to hear about 8,000 times in this business, is consistency. Is the reason Jennifer and I have gotten us as far as we have is because we've been consistent with our social media. And we were supposed to get into this later, but I'm going to go ahead and go into it now.
Do it. I know where you're going. Do it. Just do it.
We did not hold back. When we were not where we wanted to be, we did not let that stop us. And that is scary as crap to be like I'm going to post in the comments of this video my first sweaty selfie that I had shared. And y'all, my face was like this big around. It was super red and it was horrible. But I said, you know what? I'm not always going to look like this. And I want people to watch my journey and say, you know what, she did it and she worked hard and she failed and she picked back up and she kept moving. And people need to see that. We're not perfect. We don't want to show this perfect rosy image of what our life is. And because this journey, let's get real, this journey is not easy. And we showed up every day and we posted something every day. If we posted we were struggling, that's one thing. If you're not where you're at, if you don't have a big transformation, it does not matter. Guess what? Jennifer and I didn't either. We really didn't. And we stuck with it until we started having those victories where we could say, look, these pants are too big now.
Yep.
Oh, look, I fit into this size today. Oh, look, we're sharing it every single time. And I think that's why we were able to get where we are today, because we didn't just go in, oh, here's my story. I've been doing this for 6 months, but didn't tell you. That doesn't give me any value.
Yes.
And I think a couple of coaches on our team can relate to that because they watched from day one. One of the coaches on my team was my very first challenge pack sale. And that's really cool because she watched me fight through my overweightedness and push through. That's not a word, by the way.
That was good though.
Push through when it sucked, and that's what's going to give you credibility. People don't want somebody. They don't want to follow somebody who's perfect. They want to follow somebody that they can relate to, and that goes back to being your market.
And that's being vulnerable. And at the same time, being vulnerable, you're being brave. And people are watching that, and we need you guys to be brave. And one of the things we wrote down was get out of your own head. And I still struggle with this. I mean, Rachel and I talk about it all the time because I still get stuck in my own head about what I'm posting. I'll do really well. And I look back at the beginning of this journey and I'm like, wow, I was really brave. Rachel and I were really brave to share on Facebook our fat, sweaty selfies. But we also knew that was a level of accountability because people were going to watch us. And we didn't want to fail those people watching us, not only ourselves, but we didn't want to fail everybody else. And by becoming Beachbody coaches, that put us at a whole different level. It took us to a different level of accountability because I know, and Rachel and I have talked about this, is we know that if we had not become coaches, we would have fallen off this wagon 6, 8, 9, 10 months ago. It would not have lasted this long. So remember that, and remember why you joined to be a Beachbody coach. And every single one of you is because you want to help other people. And help other people, you have to be real and honest with your audience. No one is going to judge you the way that you think you're being judged. They're going to watch you and go, wow, look at her. Look what she's doing. I'm so proud of you. I promise you. It's good. I promise you. I've not gotten one, maybe one. And that was because somebody didn't agree with Beachbody's business structure. So that one, first week I signed up as a coach.
I remember that.
It was bad. It's like a good friend too. So anyway, we just want you to get out of your own way. Get out of your own way and take on social media and Facebook with a storm, with a vengeance, and share what's going on with you. The ups, the downs, the highs, the lows, the good, the bad, the disgusting sweaty selfies. You gotta do it.
Well, and I saw a coach this in our Commit Crew team who is doing this really neat thing with her like page has just taken off because she's really tapped into her market. But one thing she's doing is live, like Facebook live weigh-ins on Saturdays. So she's going live and then getting on the scale. And because for her, that's a barometer of her success because she has a decent amount of weight to lose. And that is holding her accountable between now and Summit. And I thought that was brilliant because I know for darn sure if I am going to get on Facebook Live and weigh in, I'm going to pass on those donuts. So maybe we coaches should do that. I don't know. Just a thought.
I don't know about that. Ooh, that's taking it a bit much, but
anyways, it just goes to show she's being vulnerable and sharing her journey because she's well over 260 some pounds,
and I think that it's one thing to watch Rachel and I we're not top coaches, but following top coaches, it's one thing to follow them and get ideas. But once you figure out who you are as a coach and can start tapping into that, I think Rachel's figured that out in a lot of ways. She's tapping into this young married couple thing and doing these hilarious videos with Donnie and
Victor.
Sorry, my husband is interrupting our call right now. So Rachel has tapped into her market. I'm still trying to figure it out. It's a little bit slower for me, and that's okay. We have to take this at our own speed. And if you're looking at time frame, Rachel and I are in almost a year into this business. So, it's taken us a while, but you have to start somewhere. And that somewhere is sharing your story. That somewhere is through those challenge groups. If you are not running a challenge group, you are not going to be successful in this business. And we know of at least one coach who doesn't run successful challenge groups, and he's still a successful coach. But we feel as though it's vital to the transformation of lives. So,
and I think if you listen to Beachbody, that person is a rarity who can be a successful coach without running successful challenge groups. If you listen to old podcasts, you're going to hear that reoccurring theme where most of their coaches, the top coaches are from challenge groups. And so that's, that just brings it back to the basics. And I think one thing when I was looking back through Jennifer and I's content from the beginning, one thing we were not hesitant to share was the victories within our challenge group. We would post, so-and-so, we didn't name them. We just said, a lady in my challenge group lost 4 pounds this week and she's only been doing it for 2 weeks. And we would share those things. That's kind of why I started doing the non-scale Victory Thursday live videos, because I think that shows people that these groups are the real deal. So that's just another thing that you can do in your daily posts is do posts about your challenge group. I've seen a couple of you do that, and I think those are amazing. Like, that's a great way, because if you follow the top coaches, that's what they're doing.
Yeah, Exactly. And we want you guys to know that we're sharing all this, because we want you to grow as a Beachbody coaches in this business. We've been able to see financially what this is doing for us, but not just that, like it's changed our lives, our perspective and outlook on life, and our own health and our family's health for the future. So just to kind of wrap it up, I'm going to go over the top things we talked about. So no to stock photos. Hashtag happy. Hashtag happy. And finding that your niche when you use hashtags on Instagram. But that also goes into Facebook. You can't overshare. Post at least 2 to 3 times a day and talk about your journey, and add value to each post. And the last one was be brave, get out of your own way, and just do it. One thing I learned or heard really early on when I became a coach was that you can't reinvent the wheel with this business. If you do exactly what we tell you to do and exactly what you hear from every other top coach, because really we're just repeating what we've learned and what's worked for us of what we've learned. Yeah. So if you follow what the podcasts are saying when you listen to them and you're following what the coaches are telling you to do, you will succeed. But consistency is going to be your key. You can't do the job one day and not the other. You have to do it every single day. But that takes it back to whatever your goal is for this business, because everybody's goal is different. My goal looks different than Rachel's goal, and Rachel's goal is going to look different than another coach and one of her coaches. So we are here to help you answer that question, to figure out what your goal is. We don't want to push you any harder than you want to be pushed, but we are here to help propel you in your business if you want that.
Exactly. And I think that speaks volumes of your why. Jen and I's why is really strong. I want to be home with my child. That's a pretty darn strong why. If you want to be able to pay for your mortgage every month, or if your main goal is to have a deeper relationship with women who are struggling, that's amazing. But you got to figure out what that why is. And it took me a few months to see the potential in this business. I joined in September or October of last year as a coach, and it took me until January or February before I had really figured out why I was doing this. I kept pushing through. I kept hashtagging like happy, but I figured out my why a couple months later. So don't get discouraged if you haven't really figured out your market or your why, but as long as you're still working towards figuring out what that is, that's what's important. And the purpose of this video is not to tell anybody they're doing anything wrong. Jennifer and I did not have a lot of upline support. We unfortunately, her upline coach had to take a medical leave basically from the business. And so that's kind of where we were at. So we've kind of been floundering around and trying to figure out what this whole coaching thing looks like for us. And so we want to be the support to you guys that we wish we had had in the very beginning. Not that we probably wouldn't be where we are if we hadn't gone this journey anyway. So I'm grateful for that. But, we have the tools now to help you get where you want to get. You just got to be good learners. You have to be receptive, and you have to be open to criticism and open to encouragement and accountability. And I just encourage you, like Jen said, just reiterating what she said, reach out to us if you need help. We're totally game for one-on-one calls and 2-on-1 calls and 2-on-10 calls. I don't care what it is, but we want to make that happen because we want to help you reach your goals, whatever your goals may be.
Yeah.
So.
And maybe you don't even know what it is you need in this business, and that's okay too. You can just say that. You can say to us, I'm not sure what I need, but I need something. I need you to tell me to do something. So we can be that for you as well. So anyway, we're going to wrap up the call for tonight. Rachel and I are going to post some things in the comment section below, and you can see some of our hashtag happies and some stock photos and maybe some good stuff in below. So let us know I know. Oh, yes. And our big, So let us know if you need anything, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye, guys.
Bye.